Chapter 7. Killer Sex. The blaring music was pumping hard, and I could feel it as it pounded through my chest. The light show had gotten a little bit more elaborate since the last time I was here, and the rainbow of colors was washing over people packed in the room. I was still looking around when I felt a hand slide down the front of my pants. I thought it was Marcus touching me up again, but when I turned, I found myself facing some dirty, dishwater-looking blonde with emerald contacts in his eyes. I opened my mouth to tell him to get the fuck away from me when he lunged forward and shoved his tongue down my throat. I brought my hands up to shove him off just as Marcus grabbed his wrist and yanked it out of my pants. "You can look, but you do not touch." "I can pay. I got crystal meth." I think my jaw hit the floor at the blonde's bold comment. "See me in about half an hour." I stood there and blinked before turning on Marcus. "Did you just sell my ass to a drug dealer?" Marcus took hold of one of my hands and pulled me to the dance floor. "We will be gone before then. Let us dance. I need to find the one we are really looking for." It really wasn't dancing what we did. It was more like bouncing in one place in time to the beat. Almost all the people in the room were moving the same way out on the dance floor. Considering it was after 1 in the morning, the place was still packed. Being outside in the real world for the first time in a year was heaven to me, except for the groping. Someone else was reaching between my legs, cupping me from behind. Son of a bitch! I grabbed Marcus by the forearms and swung him around so I was safely sandwiched between him and Claudius. Christ, there wasn't even a vampire for an hour yet, and I was already getting more action than I ever had in the 28 years I'd been a free man. But really, that wasn't much of a surprise considering what I looked like for those 28 years. Claudius leaned over and shouted in my ear, "You have no idea of how gorgeous you are, do you? Look at them. They cannot take their eyes off you. Marcus is highly respected in the blood. You should feel honored that he is your sire, and that he wants you as his mate." I was about to say something sarcastic back to him when a sweet, earthy scent drifted into my nostrils, and wham! My fangs came down hard, cutting my lower lip in 2 places. Fuck, that hurt! I grabbed at my mouth. Claudius saw the blood dripping down my chin, and he pulled me off the floor, leading towards a pitch-black corner. Let me take a look. It was weird. I could see him as clearly in the dark as when we were in the middle of the dance floor with the bright lights spinning across the room. "You have pierced your lip, both sides." I think I smelt bud. It was hard to talk with 2 extra long toothpicks sticking out of my upper lip. "This is a popular hunting ground for the blood, vampires especially," Claudius said. "You are going to have to work on fang control right away. You've got blood running." He leaned over, lifted my chin up, and proceeded to lick at it, cleaning up all the blood trails, a little too enthusiastically for my taste. Marcus came up to us. "What has happened?" he asked. Sex smelled another's feeding. He punctured his lips when his fangs distended. "He is bleeding. Shall I do one side and you do the other?" They had done this before. It was a little too coordinated just to be happenstance. I found myself backed into the dark corner, with Marcus holding my right arm pinned to the wall, and Claudius holding my left. As Claudius took my lip into his mouth, licking and sucking and laving with his tongue, Marcus was busy cleaning up the blood trails on the right side of my neck, but he stopped and gave me a quick sucking kiss when I made a small whine. Rising up, he took his side of my lip into his mouth, copying Claudius, and then both of them leaned in and started licking at my lips, their tongues sweeping and lingering over my skin. "This is so wrong. Get off, get off, get off me!" I must have broken their sensual haze because they blinked a couple times, smiled indulgently, and then rose up to their full heights. Compared to them, I was the short man in the middle. "You are still bleeding on the inner lip," Claudius noted, reaching out his fingers to my mouth and pulling the torn lip down. I backed away from him. "Marcus can fix it." "Well, I have truly been put in my place." "Do not take it to heart, Claudius," Marcus said soothingly. "You know this is my fondest wish." His arms came around my waist and pulled me back against his huge linebacker body. In height, Marcus was a monster. In contrast, Claudius was a few inches shorter, but he still topped me by about a good 2 inches. With my small frame huddled up close to Marcus's large one, I began to wonder about what I looked like now. There were no mirrors in the place where Marcus kept me, probably because he thought I would smash him and use them to slash him up with, which wouldn't have been far off the mark a couple days ago. All I really knew was that I was no longer what I used to be. Marcus murmured into my hair, pulling me from my thoughts. "Let us fix this mishap, and then we will continue on with the night." He gently turned me to face him and kissed the corner of my mouth, and this kiss was nothing like what he had given to me before. It was hesitant, almost pleading, sweet and pure. I leaned into him and opened my mouth as his tongue swept along my lower lip before darting inside. His tongue rubbed lightly on mine, touching tentatively across my wounds. Someone sighed, and this time it wasn't me. I opened my eyes and saw the blonde drug dealer staring at us. "That is the hottest thing I have seen in this place in a long time. I really want to get my hands on you now, pretty boy. I'll be back in 20. Pretty boy? What the hell are we doing here? I was incensed. There was too much noise. There was too many people, and having both Marcus and Claudius sucking on my face had given me a hard-on, which I didn't want to admit to. But there was a spark of fire in Marcus's eyes. He knew. "Do not be ashamed." He turned me around so I could watch the dancing sea of humanity, gathering me back up in the possessive hold of his arms and pressing my spine to his chest. "It is a beautiful part of life, and it is only a small part of what I want to share with you as my mate." "I'm not gay," I sounded whiny even to my own ears. "This is not about sexual convention. We are vampire. We sample what we want," Claudius chipped in, as if he were a visiting lecturer. I stamped my face towards him. "You're fucking with my head, both of you." Knocking Marcus's arms away, I headed back out to the dance floor, and just stood there getting jostled by the writhing sea of flesh as I contemplated my lot. Apart from stealing some corporate secrets from my boss's company, I really hadn't done anything so bad in my life that I should be reduced to this, had I? Now, instead of fighting with just one vampire, I had two. And since when did fighting ever win me any favors? Damn! I started crying. Hands landed on my ass. "Did that mean old man make you cry, little boy? What the hell was I wearing? Fuck me now, cologne?" I pushed away from the unwelcomed hands and escaped across the dance floor, heading for the bar. I wiped my eyes as I pushed through the throngs of bodies and checked my fangs just to make sure they weren't visible. I was an emotional wreck. What the hell was Marcus thinking bringing me here? "Are you okay?" I was just about to say something sarcastic in reply to such a dumb question when I looked closer at the person talking and noticed he was wearing what appeared to be one of my old shirts. I furrowed my brow and stared at it. Yep, it was definitely mine because there were small hand-placed stitches on the backside of one of the sleeves from when I had got caught on the swinging door handle and torn it. I looked up at the wearer's face and instantly recognized him. Lorne! I waited for his recognition in return, but there was nothing. Had I changed so much that even my old friend didn't know me? "Don't talk to me, then. I know you beautiful people have a code or something." His voice was bitter. My failure to answer his question must have annoyed him. "No, I'm just having a very, very bad day," I said to his retreating back. Fuck. My voice broke into a sob again. Oh my God, will this not stop? I tried to take a few breaths. They were punctuated by a little hiccup each time. I must have sounded like a 5-year-old trying to stop crying as I continued to make my way to the bar. "What can I get you?" "Anything on tap." The bartender moved away. I reached into my skin-tight leather pants and realized I had no money. A $5 bill was waved in front of me. My treat, just drink it close to me so I don't look like such a loser in this meat market. Lorne had followed me. I was about to say his name when a hand closed around my throat and jerked me backwards, moving me off to the side, about 5 feet. I knew it wasn't Marcus. The feel wasn't right. Claudius leaned over and whispered into my ear as a cascade of black hair hid his face from view. Try to make this look as painful as possible, Sax, and listen up. With the hand still wrapped around my throat, his other hand snaked around me and gripped my crotch. His fingers tightened there for a moment, making me yelp in true pain before he lessened his grip. That man you are chatting with, he is the reason you are dead. He turned you into the company. He has your job. He has your apartment. He did not even let your parents clean the place out. He paid the landlord to tell him that he had to sell your furnishings for back rent. He is living your life. He did not even have the decency to make it his own. Claudius suddenly started duck-walking me back to the bar, and I ended up face first on it. My sternum hit the bar top, and I gasped. That had hurt, but at least now Claudius's hand had left my genitals alone. He lay over my back, his lips still near my ear, still whispering. Lure him out through the back room and into the alley. Marcus is waiting there. I will follow behind you, just in case he gets spooked. Why? The person who killed you, or had you marked execution, is always a fledgling's first kill. Of course, there are other ways of death, and other rules about them. What? It is not so terrible. At least the worst is over for you. Oh, and be careful, he knows of Marcus, so don't mention his name when you're chatting your first victim up. Come, we are wasting time. Claudius released me, slapped my ass hard, and walked off.